So are you curious about the different types of sponge cakes? This video is for you. Hi everyone, this is Maureen Kamari, founder of Amari Baking Center and author of How to Start Up a Small Baking Business. In this channel, we share baking tutorials, cake decoration tutorials, and baking for business tips. If this is something you're interested in, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. So in this video, I'll be covering 4 main types of sponge cakes. Now I do like to know that there are various types of sponge cakes in the baking world, but today I'll be focusing on the 4 main types used by bakers. So the first type of sponge cake is the Biscuit. It's actually written like biscuit, but it's pronounced Biscuit. So this tends to be a cake that's very simple. It uses egg whites, actually uses full eggs, but you whip the egg whites, make a meringue by adding some sugar, and then you fold in your egg yolks, and then you add the flour. Now this is a very versatile sponge cake that can actually be used to assemble different types of cakes like black forest or white forest, but please know it does tend to be a bit dry because there's no any type of fat. So most of the time you do have to moisten the sponge to actually get a good result. But it's a very popular type of sponge cake. The second type of sponge cake is the Genoa. Now this is similar to the Biscuit that actually uses sugar, eggs, flour, and actually the eggs are the raising agent. The difference with the Genoa is that most of the time you're going to whisk the whole eggs together, most of the time under a double boiler, so that helps the eggs actually expand and become bigger. This gives you a very fluffy kind of foamy batter. Now some versions of the Genoa actually add in melted butter or kind of melted fat. The third type of sponge cake is an angel food cake. Now this is a very, very white food cake. That's why it's called angel food cake. All it uses is egg whites, sugar, some flavoring, and flour. Now this tends to be very sweet, but it is also very dry. So it's used to assemble in different ways. Most of the time you do have to moisten with some syrup and then maybe fill it with some fruit filling and then cover it with whipped cream. But it's a really popular type of sponge cake. The fourth type of sponge cake is one of my favorites, and that's the chiffon cake. Now some call this a sponge cake that cheats because it actually uses a chemical raising agent, and that's baking powder. However, you do use the whisking method. Egg whites are used, and then you whisk, add some sugar, so that gives you volume. However, you also add on baking powder that adds volume in that cake. Now the cake also uses vegetable oil, so it tends to be a very moist cake, and you don't need to moisten it for any reason. Now I just wanted to mention one more type of sponge cake that's really a type of biscuit. It's called the Joconde. A lot of pastry chefs use it for assembly of like different types of cold desserts or entremets. So generally it's used by pastry chefs, not really bakers, but it tends to be a sponge that's generally baked like a rectangle and very thin. Now the difference between a biscuit and a Joconde is that you add some almond flour or almond meal into that, and then when you're finished with it, you do tend to add sugar syrup or just sugar to keep it moist. Now like I said, it's used for a lot of assembly of entremets and other types of pastries. Now to recap, various types of sponge cakes. That's a biscuit, chiffon cake, Genoa, angel food cake, and I also mentioned the Joconde cake. So I hope this video has really been helpful to you. Make sure to watch more videos from our playlist, and if you're interested in any of our classes, check our description box to get more details. I'll see you guys next time.